Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I have a few stories, as you've seen from the title, some creepy ass freaking stories. So they're Christmas stories, well, creepy Christmas stories. So let me just get them up because I am very unorganized and haven't got them up yet. Okay, so this one's titled My Scary Christmas Story. Now, this one's actually quite long. It's actually very long. So, this story takes place 4 years ago, and it still haunts me to this day. What a way to start. It was Christmas night, and my family were driving home from this fancy restaurant. I, unlike my family, wasn't tired, so the 45-minute drive seemed perpetual. On top of that, my sister was constantly moaning about her friend, and she didn't get her anything for Christmas. About 20 minutes of driving, my dad stopped at the gas station to get some cigarettes, and my sister, brother, and mother all got out to go pee. I stayed in the car as I had already gone before we left. Once they all left, I decided to play a few games on my phone. I looked at the car clock and realized that 10 minutes had gone past. So I immediately wondered what was taking them so long. As soon as I peered out of the car window, I saw a man staring at our car. The man startled me, as I didn't know how long he had been watching. What made it even more unnerving is that he had a plain blank face, no expression was shown. It was hard to make out any features as it was pretty dark, and he wasn't standing in an illuminated part of the station. He was about 5'9" and looked to be middle-aged. I've lost what I am. Once he saw me notice him, he started walking towards the car. And I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared. Luckily, my dad came back with the rest of my family just as the man took a couple steps. My dad apologized and told me he had been in an argument with the cashier. I didn't care. I was just glad my dad was with me. I took another glance at the man outside, and he was still staring. But this time, he had an annoyed look on his face. We drove off, and for the rest of the car ride, I couldn't stop thinking about this man. This wouldn't have been too bad if it had ended here, but it didn't. Later that night, I was watching YouTube while everyone else slept, and lucky for me, a storm was raging over us. I enjoy storms. It makes me cozy as I'm laying in bed. I put my phone down and enjoy the ambience. That didn't last for long, as I heard something smash into the window behind me. I lurched forward and nearly fell out of bed. I thought a bird had smashed into my window and parted the blinds, and what I saw next haunted me. I saw a man standing out by my parents' car, looking up at my room. I took a closer look and I nearly had a heart attack. It was the same man that I saw at the gas station. Only this time, when our eyes met, he grinned. Being the 14-year-old I was, I did this manly thing and screamed at the top of my lungs. My dad came running down the stairs and he entered my room. He went, "What the fuck are you screaming at?" He said, I told him about the man and I explained everything that happened. My dad grabbed a baseball bat and told me to call the police. After 10 minutes, the police turned up outside our house and found the man in our shed. He got arrested, and that was the last time I ever saw him. The next day, my dad inspected the house and he found the handle of our back door had been damaged, but not completely broken. This gives me eerie feelings, and if he actually managed to get in, he could have harmed us or possibly killed us. It's about an actual person. It's not about the ghost. How, like, can you fucking imagine? Okay, so the next one is a bit more haunty and it's very, very freaking long.
Just review first.
Yeah. Look how long this is. Oh, you can't even see because of the thing, but it's very long, I promise. Okay, so Finn's trying to get the cat on the bed because he's scared. Go on in, up. Go on in. Good boy. He didn't even jump. The title of this paragraph: Our first Christmas in our new home was a nightmare. When selling a house, if a death occurred within 3 years of the house going on the market, the seller is required to inform the potential buyers of said death. This little requirement wasn't necessary in my case, because everyone in the 50-mile radius seemed to know about Victoria Taylor. It was a tragic story. She had given birth to a bouncing baby boy whose father no one seemed to know. The baby passed away just a few months later, and Victoria took her own life a year later, like a year after that. That much was known to be true. What was unknown were the circumstances surrounding the incidents. How the baby died, some said murder, some said accident, some said illness. How Victoria killed herself and what happened in between. The popular rumour was that Victoria, in her grief-stricken psychosis, began buying dolls to replace her dearly departed son. The doll would then suffer the same fate as the real baby in her mind, and she would bury it and move on to another. People, mostly teenagers, made it a Halloween tradition to search for the doll graveyard. They searched the back of the yard, like the backyard, and the woods behind it, but nothing was found in the 6 years that house was empty. I was confident that the house that I had bought for my family and me had nothing strange in its history but 2 tragic deaths. The first few months living in the Taylor house were uneventful. I had to occasionally shoo away any curious locals that weren't aware that our house was no longer empty. But I found no ghosts or satanic symbols or anything of that yeah. It seemed that it was just a house, one that I got a huge discount for because of what happened here and the bad juju it was rumoured to have acquired because of it. By the time the Christmas season rolled around, I had pretty much forgotten about Victoria Taylor. It was the first year that my son Caleb was really aware of anything other than presents. We lined the roof and windows with lights, hung a wreath on this door, and put some standing decorations on the lawn. We bought and decorated a tree big enough to fit a toy store underneath, which was appropriate because of how many presents Santa was going to bring Caleb that year. He was getting more excited each day, especially since we had been dropping some pretty big hints that he was getting a puppy. Aww. My family was the happiest it has ever been until the week before Christmas. My wife had been wrapping presents as we bought My wife had been wrapping presents as we bought them so that we didn't have to stay up all night on Christmas Eve like we have done on previous years. She had opened the door to the closet that held the presents to find the wrapping paper torn to shreds. Her first thought was Caleb had gotten into them, but I doubted that he would be able to contain his excitement if he had. It looked almost as if some sort of rodents had shredded the paper, but the boxes weren't damaged at all. We brushed it off as a mystery and moved the presents to the attic after rewrapping them. I occasionally heard some shuffling from inside that closet, but I never saw whatever critter had caused it. I figured I would call an exterminator after Christmas to check inside the walls. Soon things started getting really strange. I walked into the bathroom to find the dirty clothes scattered around the room and the hamper on its side. My wife found the refrigerator door hanging open with the food torn up and thrown on the floor. Caleb was distraught one morning when he woke up to find all of his toys that had been carefully placed in his toy box the night before had been thrown all around his room while we slept. All this and the noises in the walls we were getting more All this and the noises in the walls were getting more frequent and were heard everywhere in the house. My superstitious wife was becoming scared that the local urban legend was true. The Victoria Tower was still haunting the house. She reasoned that the spirit was becoming more active because we were so happily preparing for the holiday with our son, something she never got to do. I laughed at her theory. I shouldn't have. Ooh, I got chills. Shit. Christmas Eve, my wife and I put Caleb to bed. We had to return to his room several times to tell him that if he didn't go to sleep, Santa wouldn't bring him anything, which is, what you would usually do. When I was convincing, my God, what? Ah, right. When I was convinced that he was finally going to stay in his bedroom, I picked the puppy up from my mother's house and brought it into the home. We hadn't named him yet, but he was a golden retriever puppy that was energetic as he was soft and fluffy. After playing with him for a while, we put him to bed in his crate, ate the cookies Caleb left for Santa, and turned in for the night. I was jerked from my slumber by a blood-curdling scream. My wife and I followed our son's cries for help to the living room. Caleb had snuck out of bed and found the puppy. Instead of the I don't want to read anymore, I've just read something. Caleb had snuck out of bed and found the puppy. Instead of a happy fluff ball and that we had left by the tree, he found a mangled metal crate filled and surrounded by fur, blood, and chunks of discarded meat. Oh my God.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna keep reading. My wife took Caleb into the other room to console him, whilst I checked for intruders and any sign of break-in. I found nothing, so I returned to the living room and began cleaning up the mess. I was kneeling on the floor, convincing myself that there was a silver lining, in fact, that we had hardwood floors instead of carpet, when I heard a tinkling noise come from the tree. I turned my head just in time to see a pair of big blue eyes staring at me from the branches. I jumped on my feet and backed up a few paces just as the first doll dropped from the tree. It was followed by 3 others. They were those delicate porcelain dolls, wearing what were probably pretty little dresses at one time. I couldn't tell because the dresses were covered in dirt and blood. I watched with a mixture of terror and disbelief as all 4 dolls slowly rose from the ground and started walking towards me. The screams of my wife and son snapped me out of my horrified trance. The dolls' heads turned as I ran from the room to find my family. I raced up the stairs to my bedroom, where I found my wife standing on our bed with Caleb in her arms. Dozens of porcelain dolls, varying in states of damage and filth, were standing on the floor surrounding the bed. They were making their way towards my loved ones, and their tiny arms stretched out, reaching for the woman and the child who were desperately trying to stay away. I started kicking the little demons I started kicking the little demons out of the way, so I hurried to the rescue, like, of my wife and child. I didn't think a bunch of fucking dolls would be so hard to push through, but I was wrong. For every one I kicked away, 4 more came at me. They grabbed and pulled me and thrashed me a bit. And I found myself moving away from the bed instead of towards it. After noticing that most of the dolls had directed their attention to me, I yelled for my wife to run. I hoped that I served as enough of a distraction for the demon toys that her and Caleb could get away unharmed. The dolls that were still trying to reach them were clinging to the sides of the bed, climbing with their delicate little hands. My wife jumped off the bed, stumbled and fell. Caleb's head hit the floor and resulted in cries, caused the attention of many dolls. Caught the attention of many dolls. I was desperately trying to fight and keep away. My wife tried to My wife tried to right herself and gather our son before the wave of small monsters got to them, but she was too slow. I watched as the dolls quickly swarmed Caleb and began tearing his flesh. My wife started trying to get them away, but they turned on her and Caleb stopped thrashing. I made my way to them just as my wife stopped fighting. I saw the despair in her eyes as the dolls with black hair and a grey tattered dress bit a chunk from her throat. The creatures moved so fast, there were so many of them. I didn't stand a chance. I don't know how long I stood in my bedroom watching a horde of dolls ripping apart the 2 people I love most in the world. Before I realised that I was no longer being attacked, every porcelain creature was now crowded around what was left of my wife and son, feasting on them. I've regretted that, what I did next every day since I ran. I bounded down the steps as fast as my feet would carry me. I reached the door and I heard a woman's voice come from the second floor. "That's right, my children, fill those bellies so you can grow big and strong." I shut the door behind me and fell down the steps of the front porch after vomiting up the cookies I had eaten earlier. I turned to look at the house. Peeking out the window, illuminated by a colourful Christmas tree light, was a gaunt woman wearing a tattered black dress. She smiled through a veil of stringy hair, and a doll climbed up the front of her dress and into her arms. Then the curtains closed. Okay, so bearing in mind now, I only actually read like the first sort of paragraph to this story before, because I was like, well, you know, I want to read it on camera, but that was a bit gory, wasn't it? Shit me. Okay, I might read... Nah. I'll read one more, but I'll read it in a different video. Shit. The thing is, I didn't know this was going to really be about, like... I didn't know that there was going to be, like, pop dolls in this story. Vince hates dolls. Like, actually hates dolls. And hates dolls. So, yeah, that was absolutely fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe down below if you're new. Hi, I'm Katie. You are my Kit Kats, because you're my subscribers. Duh. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next one. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh wait, Merry Christmas. Bye.